All right, Tony. Let's see where Tony Michelle is. Hey,
Hey, girl.
we're back. We ran
You
out the
know,
clock.
let me see. This is my first IG live I've ever did.
Is it?
Yes.
How you feel about it?
Nervous. I was,
Nervous.
I mean, because, I already done broke out into all my sweats and stuff. But all of that happened. That's how I felt about it. That's how I felt about it.
Nervous.
Nervous. Because, I'm silly. I'm silly. So I just feel like sometimes I'm like, am I going to be too silly?
No, but that's what makes it fun. It can't be like all like the whole time. Excuse me. It has to be. It has to be fun too, right?
Right.
Um, yeah. And I mean, you're silly and you're serious, right? You're both.
Very much so.
It's
So we
very
were talking about these men, honey.
So, what do we need to do to hold? I mean, I think that we say no to a lot of things. I'm just going to start until we start seeing the comments.
Yes. Oh,
I
did you
think
did you have comments from before?
no, some people did, and then they were logged out. So hopefully they'll come back in a minute. What do we say no to, or what do we think that we need to change in Black men? And this is Black.
We're not changing anything, and we're not changing anything
Which
now.
means we're not changing anything.
We're not changing anything now.
What are we
We can't
doing
be
now?
responsible. We can't change anybody. Nobody. We
Okay,
can't
so
change.
what we need to do to hold them accountable for, or you said what we need to say no to.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay,
What do we need to say no to?
okay.
Because when we are able to say no to something, we get our power back. We get our time back. We get our dignity back. And that everything is not always about the other.
I think that the main thing that we say no to is this idea that you come first.
That you
I
are.
that you come first. I think that
Period.
period. I think that that's what we say no to.
But how does that show up though?
How do you mean?
How does that show up in men
How
and
doesn't
black
it?
men?
I really mean this. How doesn't it show up?
Right.
Literally, how doesn't it show up? Right? The expectation that you're supposed to listen to them, but they're not supposed to listen to you. You're supposed to show up for them, they're not supposed to show up for you. When they get upset about something or can't do something or can't, then they can't, then you're supposed to understand and they're not supposed to understand. Right?
Right.
This and it goes on and on and on. It's this behavior, this fundamental behavior that they come first in all things.
Can I I'm just posing. I'm just posing. Is is it always is it always that we're supposed to understand and they're not supposed to understand, or or they get more grace or we don't get more, or is it that they don't know how to understand, and or they don't know how to, like, more so of like changing the language from I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but
No, I understand what you're saying. I think yes, misogyny does play into that, Rihanna.
yes, it does.
Like, but
Absolutely.
I think that one of the things for me is that at some point they get to be treated like adults, right? And hey, Justin. Justin, this is actually a good point for you to come into the conversation because we're talking about how to say no to things that we don't need from black men. And by the way, all too often from my experience, black trans men mimic the behavior of black cis men when it comes to relationships with black women. So this can be a broader topic than that. So
I have lots of thoughts because
I said in my experience.
it had I have dated a black trans man, and
I dated three.
Okay, well, here we are. Well, here we are.
I can call the roll, honey.
Call the roll, baby.
Someone said so do
So the
studs.
studs.
Right? So it is, so actually, kind of to your point, this is about masculinity overall and how masculinity is performed, right?
It is.
So, I forgot, you asked me a question and I totally forgot. But I mean, I think that the point for me is that they get, oh, that's it. But they get to be treated like adults and you're like, maybe they don't understand. Honestly,
it's really real.
But how many times, right, that we're, again, on this point, we're supposed to understand that they may not understand and give them grace. Who understands when we don't understand? In quotes. Right? Like, how many...
It's really... okay, I'm going to tell you, I work best in stories. You want to hear a story real quick? You want to hear a story real quick?
I'll hear a story, yeah, come on.
I work best in stories, so...
Okay, come on and tell the story.
So a few weeks ago was my godmommy's birthday party, honey. Actually, no, it was last weekend. So it was the day after the assault happened, the party. So my god brother is an interesting character. He's a pastor. We're the same age, and we've had a long. We grew up together from childhood. Now, I won't get to all of the things, but I would just say that he has always known who I was. Okay. And he, and I'm going to tell you about accountability. This is a good story. So, I was sitting over there, I was talking to him. I said, oh, hey, how you doing? How's your wife doing? He says, how they were doing. And we start to talk. And he says to me, I can't even think about all of the things. But anyway, so we're talking, and he just says, well, I just want to stop you real quick. So, how am I supposed to refer to you? How am I, And I said, what do you mean? He says, how am I supposed to refer to you? I mean, I don't know. I said, how don't you know? And this has been for 10 years, baby. This is 10 years in the making. I don't understand how you do this. I see, I see you often, about 4 times a year. Well, I mean, I don't know, we never really had this conversation. I said, yeah, we haven't had this conversation. Well, why haven't we had this conversation? I mean, I don't know. Yes, you do know. You haven't came over here to talk to me. He said, well, yeah, you're right. I ain't come over here. I ain't talk to you. I said, right. So I can come and say, how's your wife? How's the church? Have you inquired anything about my life? He was like, no, but you can't say though that I don't know you, because I do know you. I said, no, you don't know me, and you can't assume anything about me. And so that, like, similar to you, that was the way that I was able to keep him accountable. Like, bitch, don't try me, because you have been in my face. I've been to a wedding, funerals, all of the things. Also, my stepfather passed last year from cancer, and he did the beneficiary to his funeral. And my stepfather, and you were present in my life when that happened last year. Yeah, he did and my stepfather called me his daughter. It was never a thing. My mom has called me her daughter for about 6 years now. His mom, which is my godmom, Toni, Michelle, niece, all of the things. So don't play stupid. Now, this is the point that I'm making. That is the performance of masculinity. Right? What's behind that what I saw, because I also know him, we were children together, right? What I know is that what he was saying to me also was that I actually didn't know how to come and talk to you and inquire, right? And now I ain't gonna spill all teas, but there are things around, there are lots of things around, this particular being, right? And backstories. But and that I would say, is him being in his own shame. And I want y'all to understand about people's traumas and shame and how it stops you, how it gets you stuck in places where you can't even imagine, that it has nothing to do with just this man, but also has or it has nothing to do with just this women, but it's, or just white people, right? Or just brown folks, or just black folks. Like, these are things that every human has an action or a reaction to people's actions, and a reaction to fear, or any of the things I just named, right? And so I'm saying all of that to name that him performing masculinity was him playing like he did not know, or saying to me that he did not know how, or that, what am I saying? Him performing masculinity is him being dismissive about the moments that he could have entered into a conversation with me.
Yeah, but I think a couple of things. I think one, that's what masculinity allows them to do, is to be stupid, right? It's like, one of the things is that it's like whiteness. It allows you to claim ignorance about your behavior, about the harm that you're doing, because the world tells you that because you are this, you don't have to worry about all these different things.
That is true.
That
is true. But if you haven't, and you were even going there, right? But like, if you haven't, somebody's raising their hand, but if you play stupid for so long, then my nigga, ain't you stupid? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you play, like, if you haven't practiced, being embodied, if you do something 300 times, it becomes a habit. If you do something 3,000 times, it becomes something that's embodied in you. Like,
right, but the question is that they get to act however they want to act, right? Like, the question is how we respond to that, right? That's a part of the question. And so for me, the answer is about holding them accountable. And there's lots of different ways to do that. I mean, you did actually hold him accountable in the conversation, right? He didn't get off the hook for it saying what he said. So there are lots of ways that accountability can show up. I don't think there's only one way for it, but I think that increasingly we have to hold Black men accountable for their absent-mindedness, right? Because the absent-mindedness is a part of the programming that allows them to inadvertently be harmful, right? Because they actually aren't taught to be in touch with themselves. So how the hell are they supposed to be in touch with anybody else?
Right. And I think that's where I am. So I think I've moved past those conversations around just naming that they have to be accountable, then how are we getting them? How are we getting there, right? Which is why I asked the question around, like, then what are we saying no to, right? Because if they have a clear book around, these bitches going to say no to this, then they're not even going to approach you in a way,
right?
And we know this, right?
That's right.
Like, and you have to, but I think also what I'm saying is then, like, what I'm saying is, how are we then ready to be in that kind of conversation with them?
Right.
Because our conversations can't be us telling them what they're not doing right and how they're not doing it. It can't be talking about us continuously like just telling them that they're doing the thing wrong, because also what masculinity is, masculinity also shuts down, right, when they feel like they've done something wrong, or if they feel like they're like in the wrong role and doing a thing. So if you're consistently telling a man or a little boy, right, who don't have no concept of patriarchy and all the things, but we just talking about a little bitty child who perceives themselves as a boy and who the world may perceive them as a boy, you know, the first thing they're going to do, if you tell them that they've done something wrong, you scream at them, they're going to shut down. So I am ready for conversations with, I am interested in how we are preparing to engage in conversations with cis men and other and cis women who also perpetuate the patriarchy.
100%.
Right. When
100%.
And how we are holding and still moving them through them shutting down, because that is just what keeps happening. So,
right. And so
go ahead.
Yeah, and so for me, the thing is that I'm with you until that last part. I'm not interested in moving them through. I think they have to move themselves, right? I think that I don't think that it's my job to do that, because they're grown. And just like I had to figure it out, they get to figure it out, right? They get to figure it out. And we have to say, it is your job to figure this out. Let me just go to two things that people said. So Fat Black Quit said, I love that, that men are socialized out of their humanity to be beneficiaries of patriarchy. We can name that. That's what I think. We can name that they absolutely don't have the bandwidth to be on our way. I would say sometimes, not all the time. And then Liliana says,
most of the time.
Most of the time. And then most of the time, that's true. And then Liliana says that emboldened trans girls should not be intimidated by cis male privilege to hold them accountable. I think that's right. I think that a lot are. Yeah. For me, there's a difference between believing that our job is to hold them accountable and to help them when they want help and need help and support, just like you would do anyone. And then, as someone just said, like enabling them. Right. There can be not necessarily always a tension there, I think.
Yeah. And I also think, again, it's proximity. I think somebody said that this Justin blog, what did they say? They said something up there. But yeah, I think it's just about proximity too. And like it's not every Black cis man, right?
It's not. It's
different with your partner. It's different with your brother. It's different with a god brother or a cousin, and a random person on the street, right? It's always different.
And I think that these questions, I mean, I really do think that this is a vital conversation for movement, because movement has to become unified in order to be able to be effective, right? And a part of that is doing the cultural work of building trust and breaking down these barriers. So I do think that this is an important conversation beyond like the one-on-one interactions that we have or with our families, but it really it's fundamental to this moment, right? Like it's really fundamental, I think.
Yeah. And I also think it's like, who is also in movement? And I don't think we talk about that enough either.
What do you mean?
I think that movement is a different space than, I think movement is a different space than community. And then I think community is also a different space than like chosen and given family.
True, totally true.
Like everybody, and so I don't think that everybody in community is a part of movement.
100%.
And so when we are saying like, we can have more direct conversation about what we need from cishet men who are in movement. We can hold them to a certain standard to engage in conversations like that with us, because it is our duty to to fight, protect one another, to love each other.
Exactly.
Nothing is all of that in movement. But again, community is different. You know, again, the man that stands out there in front of the Texaco every day is not, he doesn't know, he's not politicized in a way that understands the patriarchy and how he responds and all of that. And then like your family, they know you, they named you. You know,
Right.
there's a different kind of, again, proximity to your experience. And I think that there are tools to navigate conversations with all of those folks.
Yeah, I think that's right. Liana says that since I've been in conversation with Black cis men where I ground the conversation in compassion and understanding of how they got to where they are, and they still shut down. And it became clear to me in these moments that I cannot hold a Black man accountable because, like y'all said earlier, they do not honor me as community or one that they are in relationship with.
You know, you can't hold, Miriam Cobbles told me once in a private conversation, she said that you can't hold anybody accountable who doesn't want to be held.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You can't hold anybody accountable. It is, again, understanding for me what brings you satisfaction at the end of that conversation or the end of that moment, that then you're like, okay, I can go home and I can snap my finger, bitch, and flip my hair and be like, I did that, and I'm still in my dignity and I'm still in my joy. You know,
Right.
like that feels like a process or a moment that can be restored for yourself. That's accountability, you know, for me. But it's not actually dependent on the other person.
That's right.
It is never dependent. Black men will never be accountable for the harm that they've caused. That's an unrealistic expectation. And I think that is where I'm coming from. And I'm like, because it's like, so then how are we positioning ourselves to approach our conversations and to approach our mission in a different way? And that's what, and I don't have all the answers. Yeah, I got some, but that's why I'm nervous that people won't fucks with it.
No, I think I think that you're saying that a lot of people do. There's a lot of good conversation around this. All right, we're gonna wrap this up soon. But one of the things I know, but you kept the conversation going because you were like, well, let's ask them what they think, and then that just kept it going. So this is gonna be our.
I love that. You popped my IG live cherry.
Yes. So this is going to be one of our last comments or things to talk about, which I think is really interesting, which is Justin says that he had another man wanting to fight him on being an LGBTQ ally, and that when he tries to hold other Black men accountable, it comes with threats.
Mm. Yeah. Why do you think that, Justin?
Justin, why do you think that they are so threatened by that? And why when you try to hold them accountable, does it come with threats? Just type in your answer.
Yeah. You know, I had a guy, the other thing, I had a guy say he wanted to fight me over being an ally.
Yeah, that's the same person.
Oh, okay. You know, I think that's when the moments when you be like, oh, this person is in community. And so we there's no possibility to move forward with them.
Right.
And those are the people that you those are the people that you just don't pay no mind to. Because everybody can't be at the table. Some people gotta cook. Some people gotta get the forks and the napkins together. Some people gotta clean the dishes. Some people gotta garnish the food, baby. It's a whole assembly line. So if you are a person who's preparing the table, just understand who has the skills and capacity to support your vision at the table. Everybody else, just let them go.
Well, that's interesting, right? Because what you're saying is that actually this is a learning moment for you, that this person is not someone that you should necessarily see as an intimate, as a compatriot, right? That like a lot of times, you have to fuck with the people that fuck with you. you know, on some level. It's very
Right.
easy. And so, like, if they're hostile to that, then they're kind of hostile to you. You're not even on the same level. So why are y'all even friends? Justin goes on to say that he thinks that it is an ideology shift, that they want to be that Black men want to, in their worldview, want to be the focus of movements, want to
It's not
be
about
the,
wanting to be the focus of movement. Is that they think they have to be the focus of movement. It's this idea of like this horrible idea of being a king so bad. Everybody want to be a king so bad. Everybody want to be a leader so bad. That's what I was talking about earlier in the first one about when they think about their roles. Like, you know, when men, a lot of when they perform masculinity, it's because they understand the game, whether it be dice or cards, the role of the game. They understand their role of the game. I need to get this ace. I need to get uno, you know, and that is how men think. That's why they
right.
love games, you know. And so, like, if they perform these things. And so, when I'm saying, like, if we are, it's not about them wanting to be the focus. That's the residue of it, right? And then it's the entitlement, it's all the things that we didn't feel, but it's that they really don't know how. And so then how do we then just intervene, sit them down, and lead in the ways, and then make it clear? Sometimes you have to write the job description. Sometimes you have to write the job description. That don't mean we gotta write it. Another nigga could write it. But sometimes the job description has to be written so that, you know, they know what to do.
Okay. And then this will actually be the last point.
You keep saying that.
I did. I was like, okay. Yeah, because I think I mean, it is an interesting point that some of their need to be on top actually comes out of an insecurity because they don't actually know how to fit or work in an organization. So the only thing that they know how to do default, well, that means they have to be in charge, right? But Justin says this, I think this is a really good way for us to tie all of the things that we're talking about gender and movement and being trans and the leader, where one person, was it Justin, who said, Justin said that there's a lot of talk about movement's attention being diverted to others. Like, how do you respond to that? One person said, what if you ever get the chance to help? And two things. So like that another thing is that there's all this talk online, as you know, that they are upset because they believe that the centering of the death of Breonna Taylor, the beginning to center Black trans lives in the conversation about Black Lives Matter is diverting from our focus on Black men and the murders of Black men, which they see as the most urgent issue.
What's the question?
How do you respond to that? How do you respond to Black men who are like, well, y'all are just taking the focus. The murders, our murders are the focus, and y'all with all this other stuff are just taken away from the real focus on us, right?
I'm really simple. It's just ego. It's like, baby, your ego is showing right now. Then I would just say what I've actually told many men, including Gerald Griggs. We are just in a different time where your roles have shifted. And so you have to become familiar with the other ways in which you are needed to show up.
Correct.
And so take a deep breath, and this is what I need from you. Can you do it? It's okay if you can't, then I'm going to need you to sit this one out. But this is what we need from you. And I think that there is, I think that the more we do that, and they're going to always feel like that. It's like, girl, like the girls are always, sometimes we think that everybody always clocking us, and ain't nobody clocking us at all.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you know
It's
what I'm
true.
saying? These are just stories that we all have them, y'all. Okay, and so it's like, how do we then make space for each other with these ridiculous stories? Sometimes you just gotta be like, sometimes they just gonna keep calling us she until we believe that we ain't getting clocked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing that we can do in these times. And I respond to people like that. It's just, we got different roles for you now. The world looks like this. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of trannies out there. Yay. Because of that, you got to sit down so that we can get into a formation and some movement so that you can join us again and we can get to liberation and freedom. But you have another role in this time.
Well, on that note, we will end because we certainly know what your role is as a leader on the front line, who experienced that a little bit more over a week ago, on the main highway that runs through Atlanta, standing up in your role as an executive director of an abolition movement in Atlanta, Solutions, Not Prisons, collaborative executive director.
You always come up with something different each time.
What did I say? Oh, solutions, not punishment.
Solutions, not prison,
Punishment.
girl.
Not punishment. Why did I say prisons?
Sometimes you say not another punishment.
It's punishment. It's
girl, what's going
I know.
on?
It's real sad.
It's so many P's. It's like, you know, we have so many acronyms like TLC.
It's very
so
sad.
It's so many TLCs.
It's so sad.
Many.
But again, like I said, we certainly know what your role is in this movement, even as we say that men figure out what their role is, and even as you support them, you still show up for them, which, as someone said much earlier, is what abolition is all about.
It is. Let's be clear, I do not show up for all cis men, baby. I show up for my partner. I show up for my brothers. I show up for my babies, for my little cousins. I show up for them. I do this work for my babies. But niggas get money.
And on that note, we're going to end. Thank you so much, Toni Michelle. We love you. We value you. We need you. We need your voice. We need your leadership. We need your silliness. We need your short hair so that studs get confused. We need it all. So, yes, we are saving this live, and then we're going to share it on all the platforms. It went on 3 times longer. I was like, this is going to be from 8 to 8:30, and now it's 9:30.
You know, my baby, he was like, I was like, it's only 30 minutes.
I thought it was only 30 minutes.
And then it's been an hour, so he's going to read me out.
Okay. Well, you go take care of that. Bye, Toni Michelle. Love you. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, y'all. Bye.